Where do we begin? Hot damn!
Hot damn!
We are the CineBeards, and this is our review of Thor Ragnarok.
It's amazing, go watch it.
Damn it, Dion. Spoiler!
Well, we're done.
We're done.
That's it.
It's a good thing we had Jarryd here as a guest host.
Good job, Jarryd, you nailed it.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, let someone else get a word in, please.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Marcus couldn't be here with us for this review, so to replace him, we've got Jarryd.
Yes.
Hi.
Jarryd's name might be familiar, and that's because he's the dude who did our fucking awesome artwork.
Yes.
With a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and other body fluids.
And ink, mostly
Yeah,
ink.
but
Yeah.
probably ink.
Probably
Well,
ink.
yeah.
Body ink.
Body.
Okay, so,
Alright.
swiftly moving on.
So, 9 a.m.
Thor
screening
Ragnarok.
of Thor Ragnarok.
What best way to start your day?
Yeah, that was a great way. We were booking our tickets for tonight as well.
Yeah,
For 11 p.m. So
we're booking our tickets.
that should give you a good idea of what this film was like.
Oh, and the only reason that I'm not going with you guys again this evening is because I have another commitment, but I'm going tomorrow afternoon again.
Weak excuses.
I know, I'm a terrible person.
So, anyway, this is the most I've laughed in a movie in a long
Yeah,
time.
I actually cannot remember the last time I felt almost sick from laughter. Just like everything hurt.
We can't stress this enough. This is definitely a comedy framed in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. This is... People say it's the funniest MCU film, but I don't think we've actually had a straight-up comedy MCU film. Like, it's not a fair comparison. Like, this is through and through a comedy film.
This is the funniest film I've watched since What We Do in the Shadows.
I would argue, as someone who just watched What We Do in the Shadows recently, this was funnier.
I agree.
Possibly because, I mean, we've had... It can call back to other films and... You know, it's established characters. It doesn't have to sort of establish them anew. But I laughed so much more in this.
It's also because you get to see characters that you know and care about doing things that are making you laugh. It like amplifies the humor.
Yeah, it's like
like
hanging out with
Friends.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely outstanding. And also probably the most ambitious in terms of action sequences.
Oh, definitely.
The scale.
There's an opening action sequence that just had my jaw on the floor.
But the choreography was just incredible. Like, you would normally think that these things would get bloated and out of place, but they were just done so well and on such a large scale.
And just tightly edited. That's the thing, is something like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where we're meant to be extremely impressed with Ego, the Living Planet. You know, James Gunn was talking about it's like the most polygons ever, you know, whatever in a... And I mean, admittedly, super, you know,
visually
impressive,
spectacular.
but not on a visceral level.
Yeah.
More on an intellectual level, like, wow, that's really
Yeah,
impressive.
if you had to sit and think about it.
Yeah. Whereas this was just like, wow, so tightly choreographed. And I think it all comes down to just a really excellent script.
Yes.
Just
yeah.
plotted
Excellent
out.
script, brilliant direction, and
Really good editing.
really good editing, and also allowing the actors to do what they're good at.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason Chris Hemsworth has seemed like a little off in the past now makes sense, because he's a comedic actor.
Yeah.
They keep putting him in like serious action roles and stuff, but this is where he should be.
Yeah, he's not a Shakespearean hero, which is what the first Thor was trying to do with him. You know? It's not something serious and straight-faced. And as soon as you have that slightly more self-effacing meta-awareness of, you know, this is inherently ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you just allow the actor to have fun with it and ham it up. It works so well.
It's like he becomes self-aware of the whole thing. Like, just even in the beginning moments of the movie, it's almost like he's breaking the fourth wall, but he's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of that Deadpool thing, but without making a big show of it. Like, oh, look how clever we are. As much as I love Deadpool, you know, it can become very, you know, like, okay, cool. We're drawing attention to the fourth wall break and even calling it that in the film. Whereas this just feels like you're sitting with your friend. I mean, what do we say at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming? You know, where it felt like this film, it's just
high fives.
Marvel running down a corridor filled with hundreds of people, high-fiving all of them, and you're every single one of those people. Yeah. That's what you get here as well. It just feels like, hey, these characters that you know and love, look at the wacky things they're doing, and the actors are in on it, and everyone's just having a good time.
Kate Blanchett, I think, was having the best time.
Oh. Like murderous good time.
Yeah, no, she was just chewing that
Having
scenery.
so much fun with that role.
Her belly must be full from all that scenery she chewed. She had a great time.
Ooh, and Goldblum went hard, Goldblum.
Goldblum was 100% Goldblum. And I'm glad we got so much of him. My fear coming into this was that a lot of these actors, I mean, Carl Urban looks so cool in the trailer. Jeff Goldblum looks so cool. You know, you've got Anthony Hopkins. You've got all these amazing actors in here. Idris Elba. And you're worried, Kate Blanchett, that you're not going to get enough of each of them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you saw, oh no, they should have made Planet Hulk its own film. You've got Jeff Goldblum. But he's in it actually so much.
Right.
They're all in it, so I don't know how. They've got an amazing compression algorithm because they put so much in this form, but nothing feels crammed.
And everything is well spaced out, well paced. It's great.
And nothing overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's almost why, in retrospect, I'm happy they didn't just make a Planet Hulk film.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because they're putting something that's incredible in an already incredible vehicle.
Incredible Hulk.
I don't understand.
That's fine, we'll move on.
Oh, you can explain it to me later. And something like Planet Hulk, and then just realizing it perfectly, but in the context of this film. So everything feels like, wow, amazing. It's that world, and oh, I recognize that character, and I recognize this. But it never has to exist on its own terms entirely. You know, you don't have to, with the characters in that world, like create dramatic tension and create emotional arcs for any of them. It can basically just be, that's awesome. And that's it. That's all it has to be.
Oh, and it was that and more.
And a whole bunch more.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
But without ever feeling like, oh, we're just pasting this in here.
Yeah.
I sat at the end of this film, and we're keeping it spoiler-free for the beginning here, unless casting decisions, you know, unless you consider casting directions to be spoilers, in which case, sorry. But you're sitting there at the end of the film, and you're looking at it, and you're thinking, holy crap, how did they bring all this together organically? How did everything fit together? Like, what black magic is going on here? That nothing felt shoehorned, nothing felt forced, and everything just had room to breathe. How long was the film?
Everything felt comfortable where it was, and all the players kind of felt comfortable where they were. It's not like you had this character who's not really comedic in any way, being forced to be comedic or something like that.
Yeah, it was never sort of forced slapstick or anyone acting out of, as you say, anyone acting out of character. They all just felt organically funny.
Even characters that had comedic moments, they didn't have to necessarily be comedic in their roles. Like, they were just put into great situations where it could become comedic.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing.
And so someone like Heimdall, who's got a great sense of gravitas to him, is never comedic.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas other characters, and I'll save that for the spoiler section, who also have a sense of gravitas to them, are allowed through circumstance to be hilarious, but without compromising their character.
All right, so what we're saying is this is the funniest movie
In a long time.
In a long time. Funniest movie. Definitely go see it as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah. Saying it's the funniest MCU film, it's that whole backhanded thing. It does it a complete disservice. Where, for instance, like for me, Winter Soldier wasn't sort of the best spy MCU film. Like, it was sort of the best suspense thriller of that year for me.
Yeah.
Like, in terms
Easily.
just overall. And this is the best comedy I have seen in years.
Yeah.
The fact that it also happens to be a massive action spectacular
And a space opera.
and a space opera.
I'm so impressed at how well Marvel can weave these different genres into their shared universe and make them kind of work.
It's what you always say, Jason.
Yeah.
Superhero films, they aren't a genre.
Yeah.
No. It's you're making other genre movies, but that just happen to include superheroes.
And if you can include superheroes that have already had several films worth of character development, so you can do more with your film. I mean, there's no way you could have done that much with this film if it was the first Thor film.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
So because they've done all that legwork in the past, you not only have fully fledged characters, but you also have great throwbacks.
Yeah, it's like a TV series when it has that like one banger of an episode near the end of the season.
Yes,
because it's had that whole season building
build
up to
it.
it, and then it can have that.
It's sweeps week.
Yeah, it's sweeps week. This was Marvel sweeps week.
And Infinity War is still coming, guys. I'm so scared for Infinity War because how can it top this? I mean, I know it can.
That's the
but
good
how?
thing, though, because this was a full-on comedy movie. It doesn't need to compete with it on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not as a comedy, but just I'm just talking about me as sort of a fan of the Marvel films. Like,
How's it going to
this
be
is-
more enjoyable?
That's the thing, is how am I possibly, because I felt this way before. I felt that way with Winter Soldier. I thought they've struck gold. This is a fluke. There's no way it can be this good again. And I mean, it has been, and now it certainly was. You know, so
Definitely.
like, have they peaked? You know, how is Infinity War
How
going to
much
be
higher can they get?
more spectacular and dense than this, and fulfilling?
I have faith that the Russo brothers. Can
Yeah, no, don't you worry. I have my little Russo brother altar in my bedroom with the candles lit. Every night I say a sacred incantation. Yeah, so
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
All right, cool. That concludes our spoiler-free review.
that's spoiler free.
Okay, mad spoilers coming ahead.
Spoilers for days, y'all.
So many spoilers.
I'm
So
gonna
this
lose
is your
my
last
mind.
warning. Your last warning here. Spoilers. Let's get stuck into it.
All right, cool. Okay,
Okay.
so first things first. I absolutely love what they did with Planet Hulk.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Planet Hulk elements, the organic thing of, I mean, we last saw Hulk at the end of Age of Ultron, and he was flying away, and somehow with a Quinjet, he has rocked up in this world, and that's kind of explained when Heimdall says, you know, this is you're on a world with many doors.
Yeah.
You know, so there's many pathways, sort of.
And it's also explained at some point through exposition that it's like the dumping ground of all the other worlds.
And not only that, but time kind of works differently there.
right.
Because Goldblum's character's been alive. He says, on another world, it would have been 1,000,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
here-
also Thor and Loki, when Loki's like, I've been here for 2 weeks already.
Yeah.
That they got thrown like seconds apart.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So time does work differently there, so it kind of makes sense that...
And I think the Hulk had been there for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, no, we have no idea how long the Hulk was
that's
there.
Yeah,
also
he's
true,
because
It had
he
been
Hulk
2 years
himself.
since Ultron.
Yeah, Hulk himself doesn't have it. It's Thor that contextualizes it
Yeah,
for him. It
2
says
years.
like Sokovia, because when he eventually turns into Banner, you know, he's saying, "What happened to Sokovia?"
Yeah, did
and,
they win? And-
and he's like, "Wait, oh no, that was 2 years ago."
Man, that reasoning for him to go back into being Banner was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But that was
Like,
the
that's-
crazy
that
thing.
was good.
There were so many. You're laughing so much, and you think that's going to be the whole movie, but there are just so many great dramatic and heavy moments as well. Like there are things that happen in it where you just think, I did not think they would ever do that.
Yeah.
And they pulled it off as well, on top of all the humor. That
Yeah.
Yeah, that scenes with some serious emotion. That Hulk scene, for one, there was like some serious like love going on in the elevator between Thor and Loki, which
Yeah.
I think you could really feel because
I love
the actors have gotten so close.
I love that
So you could
ambiguity
it was
of like
so tangible.
they love each other, and you know you can see Loki getting visibly emotional. You know when Odin says "I love you." You know, like
Yeah.
you got this, but he's the god of mischief, and
Yeah, it's in
the
his
Thor
nature.
says it's his nature. He can't help himself.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to turn into a snake because you like snakes. You're going to go and pick him up. He's going to turn back into him and go, bah!
And stab you.
Stab you. So yeah, Planet Hulk as a backdrop for character development. I mean, we learned so much about Hulk and Banner, like the internal psychology. You know, like it always felt like one hand on the wheel for both of them,
Yeah.
and now it feels like Hulk
And-
is taking over.
And the sacrifice that Banner makes at the end,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he says, if I turn into Hulk again,
may
that
never
might
turn
be it.
back.
I might never
Yeah.
turn back.
and then he does
But
it.
he willingly does that to save these people that belong to a world that isn't even his.
Because
Yeah.
that's also who Bruce Banner is. Like, he may be the nerdy, constantly surrounded by anxiety, but he's also a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to also somehow manage to do that world justice, like they're using it, but it's allowed to breathe. And I mean, I can never pronounce his name. The director,
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Yeah, him as Korg.
Oh man, he was so good at
absolutely revelatory. I mean, he was obviously amazing in as what we do in the shadows. And I heard the voice. I mean, you obviously you say you spotted it immediately, and I heard the voice. I'm like, I know this accent, I know this voice. Like, I know it's someone from the film, but I just couldn't place it. But he's just so good and so nuanced as Korg, you know, and he gets some of the best lines in the film.
Well, Taika Waititi, the actor, is amazing.
He is absolutely amazing, and I have to mention just how incredibly good he looked as that stone monster. There's parts where it looks. I want to go see how they did it, because there's parts that actually looked practical, especially towards the end when they're in the spaceship and he's standing there. The lighting on it, I was okay. Did they build a practical thing with animatronics that they augmented with CG? Like it certainly looks that way. It just feels weighted and real in the world.
I think
a little bit of the other like background CG and stuff was slipping a little bit.
Yeah, there were
some egregious.
There were a couple of interesting. I'm actually curious to see the film in 2D to see if some of that was just like compromises for
stuff where it's not like exactly sitting on the floor, right? Or,
like there's one pod when they're on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
And they're walking, and you look at the soldiers in the background, and they look like video game characters. Like their legs are they're kind of off the ground, through the ground, like the perspective isn't right.
Yeah,
and I wonder
if
I mean that might be stereoscopic treatment, but I'm very curious to see the film in 2D. I mean, I love 3D, like when it's on a proper bright screen and everything's good.
Like Blade Runner 2049 would not have been the same without the 3D.
Yeah, for sure. So I love that, but I'm very curious to see if some of those issues were because of stereoscopic, or just because the film is so absurdly ambitious.
The amount of time they must have spent in post on that movie.
Yeah.
Well, you saw in the credits how many studios were there for the visual effects, like all working on it.
And it just felt so great. What's Hella's dog name? The giant wolf dog?
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
Fenris.
Okay, yeah. Fenris looked amazing. That just so weight. And that's the thing, is you see all these things in the trailer, and my feeling is always I get so worried when I see so many epic looking things in a trailer, because it's going to pull a Pacific Rim on me. It's like, oh, this thing that looks cool in the trailer, it's going to be there for 5 seconds and then it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. And everything felt like it had room to breathe. I thought, oh, Goldblum's going to be a great cameo and I'm going to be wishing for him. But he recurs throughout the film. He gets a lot of like meaty scenes.
The trailer did so much right, though.
Yeah.
Like what I mentioned to you guys, where like Thor loses his eye during the course of the movie.
Yes.
And at the end, though, when he lands on the bridge, all lightning, like in the trailer, he had both eyes.
Yes.
And in this, he had the one eye thing going. And
See,
I think that was really
like
good.
that they did that.
See, I only ever watched the first teaser for Ragnarok, so I didn't see any
The one
of that.
thing, Disney's marketing machine is fantastic. I love the kinds of misdirection they do, where each trailer feels like it's got a coherent narrative, but it's never the narrative of the film. The one thing I will say,
this time,
that they did screw up was putting in the Hulk reveal. Like,
if that had happened like live in the movie, that reveal,
I would probably have. Maybe it was a legal thing, because people would probably have died. Because it's quite far into the film.
Yeah,
you know, it's not something that
not overly far, but
not in terms of like percentage through it. But I mean, you have been sitting for quite a while, and it has been building up.
There's been a lot of story coming.
There's been a ton of stuff. To then sort of have Thor here, and here comes this massive challenger, and you think it's going to be some massive alien creature, and then it turns out to be Hulk. I deeply regret that was taken from me by the trailer.
Yeah, and by all the marketing, really.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I unfortunately knew Hulk was going to be in the movie before the trailer, because they showed off Hulk's Ragnarok armor at San Diego Comic-Con in a nice big booth. So that alone, as unassuming as it was a total.
It wasn't also that. It was also the was it Ultron? Which special editions to the DVD had the Thor Ragnarok stuff on?
Oh,
and it showed concept art of Thor and Hulk fighting.
Yeah, and I remember getting very excited by that. But again, it just feels like, I mean, I understand it. They want to build hype for the film. I mean, that's something that gets asses in seats.
Yeah.
But it really did. It was still epic, but it reduced it. It was like, oh, cool, here is the thing that I already know. It felt like I was watching it because I'd seen the trailer so many times as well, everywhere. You know, it felt like, oh, okay, cool, this is a movie I love, and this is a scene that I like, but it's the 10th time I'm watching it.
But the development of the scene afterwards, that fight between Thor and Hulk, it just
Oh.
man, that was so good. And I don't think the trailer took away from that. It took away from the initial like, oh yeah, it's Hulk.
Yeah.
But
you
it
don't
did
have-
not.
yeah.
It did not.
But you think
prepare
Hulk is
you.
just gonna like
Yeah,
smash up
wail on
Thor,
him.
and just the second Thor gets that massive hammer and just gives him
And then
just
it
a big
becomes
knock
a
around
proper
the
fight.
side of the arena, and everybody's faces just drop.
So,
Speaking of face of dropping,
Loki.
when Loki's
when
reaction when first he's
I have to get off this planet.
He's
I have to get off this planet, yeah.
That was amazing.
And the Grandmaster just keeps looking over at him as Thor keeps getting a few licks in him. And Loki's just sitting there getting more and more nervous.
And like another great moment with Loki during that fight is when Hulk smashes Thor about a bit like he did
Almost-
and Loki's like, yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah, now you know.
Almost exactly how he did it in the first Avengers movie. Smack for smack. Even the timing between the smacks was so close.
So many, and that's another thing, is there's so many loving throwbacks. The whole thing, where Banner is hulking out, and so Thor doesn't know how to handle. The only reference point that he has is the way Black Widow did it.
Yeah.
So that's
So
what
he goes up, the sun is going down.
and it almost looks like it's gonna work.
yeah,
And then
because
he
Hulk
gets
puts out his
wrecked.
hand for him.
But then at the same time, you're sitting here and going, it's totally not going to
It's
work.
not gonna
He
work.
is going to smash him into the ground.
Yeah, but then it holds it long enough that you're like, oh shit, is it gonna work?
Yeah.
Could it work? And you're like, nah.
And that's the thing, is comedy is timing and editing.
Yes.
And this I want to know who edited this, because they deserve King Medal. Because you could tell, I mean, editing this could not have been an easy job.
No.
There is so much. And editing action and editing comedy, I mean, there's similarities, but it's also very, very different. There's things you can get away with in action that you can't in comedy.
Comedy's got to have that.
You have to have the
timing
rhythm
throughout.
and the timing.
And on top of that, you've got the epic scale of like the Norse mythology side and then the space opera side with the action and the comedy at the same time.
Yeah. My worry coming into this was that it might be them giving, and I keep waiting for Marvel to disappoint me in this regard, of taking the easy way out with something. So my worry was, okay, cool, Guardians of the Galaxy did really, really well. The Thor property isn't that beloved. So let's inject some Guardians of the Galaxy into this. There was a little bit of that, but its comedy worked entirely on its own merits. I didn't feel like, oh, they're recycling gags, or they're just going for the tone of the Guardians films. It didn't feel at all like some cynical executive decision of like, the thing we did with Guardians of the Galaxy, just do that here.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that at all.
What I liked as well was the soundtrack. I also thought maybe they're going to go with the whole Guardians using music thing.
There was little bits of it.
There was
but
a
it
little bit of it.
so well chosen.
I think it was only Immigrant Song that they used, and then the rest of it was just beautiful synthy business.
Yeah, there was just every now and then it just got so 70s.
Yeah, like retrofuturism on top of it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
great.
I'm sure there was
speaking-
one other licensed song, and
Oh,
I love the throwback, the theme throwbacks as well. The Thor theme, the Age of Ultron
Yeah,
theme.
the Dark
Yes, yes,
World.
yes.
Yeah, all these little musical theme throwbacks, which just felt so good.
But they used that Immigrant Song so well. When it kicked in that first scene there, when he's fighting all the like peons and stuff in hell.
It's so good.
Oh, man,
and he's
so
waiting
good.
for Heimdall to teleport him back as well. It's just like,
when he puts his hammer in the dragon's mouth and he's like, stay.
stay. Just so,
Yeah, Hemsworth's comedic timing throughout that movie.
Yeah, he honestly, like, it feels like, to an even greater degree, like when I saw Mark Wahlberg in The Other Guys.
Yeah.
Where Mark Wahlberg's not someone I was ever really a fan of, who I really enjoyed. And then I saw him in The Other Guys and I thought, who the hell is this? Like, I love this guy. What's going on? And you saw him in Transformers. But yeah, Hemsworth has
Taika
definitely...
Waititi has helped Hemsworth find exactly where his feet should be.
Yeah. And it started with those shorts, you know.
Yes,
the little
what
short
was
films.
Thor doing?
Yeah.
During Civil War, and it just feels like whatever work was started there, they just continued, and it just felt like they brought out the full potential.
There's a lot of that same comedy going through it, like in the very beginning with Carl Urban's character. What's his name again?
Scourge.
Scourge. When Scourge is telling those two ladies about how the Bifrost works, and he shows them all his things, and there's just this like scooter there.
Scooter, two guns.
And then a giant skull and a robot head.
Oh, it was so good. Like, it was exactly that same tone as what was Thor doing.
Yeah.
Shorts.
And I liked, there were a lot of these little characters, I mean, but especially Scourge, who has this, just under the radar almost, you know, he's just got this character arc that goes on, you know, he starts off, he's kind of cocky, he's abusing his position.
Yeah.
Thor's, you know, he's taken over for Heimdall, but he's using the position to impress these girls. Then he sort of betrays Asgard and teams up with Hela, and then he has
you can see it's to save his own
Yeah.
yeah,
skin,
no, of
pretty
course,
much.
because he's a coward, and then
Yeah.
at the end sacrificing himself. And I mean that when I say it like that, it sounds like such a generic arc.
Yeah,
but it feels so good.
Yeah, it's because you can see it, like when he gets told he's the executioner, there's this little bit of doubt in his face,
Yeah.
and then when he has to go to kill that lady, he's like,
He
it's
never
proper
believes
pain.
in. He never believes in what Hela's doing.
No, he's just
like,
trying to survive.
She says, you know, you look like someone with good survival instincts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that basically sums up his
transparent.
character.
Pretty much. And it's sort of a
Like
surprisingly
I felt that
nuanced-
pain in the moment there where he had to execute that lady.
And
Yeah.
then get stopped at the last minute.
Yeah, but he committed to it.
Yeah, he was getting
I
ready.
thought he wasn't gonna do it,
Yeah.
but he like overpowered that emotion for survival.
Yeah.
Like there was proper good emotion on Carl Urban's face there.
Yeah. I mean, just getting an actor that good.
Yeah.
I mean, someone who can act that well just with the bottom half of his face. So you let him use his entire face.
Let me use his entire face.
Maybe he's a little.
They even
OP.
shaved off his hair so you
Yeah.
could see the top of his head as well.
They're like, you're gonna
More,
go all
more
out.
face
You're
room
gonna
to
go
act with.
All of Urban. All of
Wow.
it.
I feel like the only person who like didn't throw their all into that movie was maybe Anthony Hopkins.
You know what? I agree with you in the dramatic scenes, but what you forget.
Oh yes, I forgot.
What you
He
forget.
completely convinced me that he was Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
That's the thing is when you see him for the first time, he's lying there. He's like
Eating
he's-
those
yeah, he's
grapes.
eating
His
grapes.
foot is like wiggling as he lies all
Yeah,
slouchy
like
on
I
the
said
couch.
to you and your wife, when they showed them Thor and Loki walking up to Odin on the cliffs there by
Yeah.
the sea, I was like, oh cool, they got Anthony Hopkins back in this, because I did not connect that was him earlier in the movie, because it just felt like Tom Hiddleston's
suit.
Loki.
So where some of his sort of more serious scenes felt like they were maybe missing some of like the real commitment and gravitas, he really committed to. I mean, someone like Anthony Hopkins basically doing a Tom Hiddleston impersonation and pulling it off so well that you forget.
I forgot it was Anthony Hopkins and not just Tom Hiddleston.
And you can just see
yeah.
so
That is-
clearly, like when he sees Thor is back, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
Oh shit.
It was
no,
but
that part he like absolutely nailed.
absolutely
It was
nailed.
just the dramatic stuff that he
And
was a
I
little
think
bit
part
weak
of
on.
that, I
But
think
like
part of that is not just him, but I think at
the direction.
one,
maybe a
yeah,
little
I think
bit.
one or two of those dramatic scenes felt like they could have just been given a little more weight. They
Yeah.
felt almost not perfunct, but just on the verge of becoming perfunct.
Yeah,
Of like,
that's true.
cool, this is an emotional beat we have to get through. Some of those landed really, really well, but some of them
Yeah, like
didn't land as well as they could have.
like the verbal fight between Thor and Hulk when Thor's like, the people of Earth do hate you.
Yeah.
And I was just so sad for Hulk
I
in
know,
that scene.
'cause
Like he
it,
looked,
like,
he
it
looked
really
so
sinks
sad. Like he's just a toddler.
And the performance capture is absolutely outstanding.
Wow, it's the best it's been so far.
Yeah, for sure. And it just looks so convincing. On the one hand, he doesn't look like, he still looks cartoon, like comic booky, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the sort of organic creature, you know. He looks like the sort of manifestation of a comic book character, but the
it's-
face.
Yeah.
But the
thing is that like comic book character kind of look works so well in the world that was created for this one.
exactly. I mean, just
Like
with the
more,
back,
so much more so than the other Avengers movies. It fits in
because he
well.
fits in as you said, you know, the sort of a planet like Sakaar, you know, where you've got all these aliens, you've got all these creatures, and it's
And
as
also
you say,
bright, colourful.
yeah, and it's the dumping ground of the universe. You know, Hulk just fits right in.
Yeah.
He looks part of that world.
Oh man, and that
Little
introduction of Valkyrie.
Oh, so she's
Stop.
a scene stealer. What's
Oh,
that
she really
name?
is. Tess.
Tess Thompson.
Tess Thompson. Yeah, sorry, I'm terrible with names. Luckily, you're here, Jarryd.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just a scene stealer. She's
Oh,
absolutely just badass, full-on commitment. Again,
The thing where she like clicks her arms together to kind of get those guns working. And you're like, what is she doing? Are they going to be like gauntlets?
It's gonna charge up these gauntlets, like electrified gauntlets.
And then she's gonna go all badass and just start punching fools.
And then
It's just these massive guns on the ship behind her.
mows people down.
Absolutely. And again, surprisingly good, nuanced, rich backstory to her that explains the character, and characterization is so good.
And done really elegantly with that Loki fight. Like, she could have like gone, oh, this is what happened, and talked about it. But
to put Loki just put his hand on her head, and she just remembers
to have it as like an attack on her rather than
stylized. I just got goosebumps thinking about that.
Yeah, me too.
And it's also a major plot point because that's what actually gets her to get on board with Thor's redemption, and is like to go back to Asgard. Like, she would not have done that if Loki hadn't have done it.
And as a bonus, it's some of the most beautiful things my eyes have ever beheld.
I
want to paint that on the side of a panel van.
I just want that as a desktop background. Everyone has different levels of ambition as well. But yeah, that's amazing. Just the fact that she came to Sakaar to basically forget and die, and
drink. Lots of drinking.
And Hela, there's surprising parallels between her and Hela, because both she chose her to be an
exile,
outcast, whereas Hela was exiled. Yeah. But both of them sort of see through the hypocrisy, the fact that people are dying for what's essentially family feuds.
Yeah, and what's great is that Thor himself also sees that, and he's looking to change it.
Yeah. And where that was so powerful, where Hela looks up at the ceiling, where there's this sort of
all
these ornate paintings, it's everyone in gardens and being heroes and making trees, and then she just brings it down, and you see the old ceiling underneath, like the truth behind it.
How they got Asgard the way it is.
Yeah, where do you think all this gold came from? And again, you can sort of go into that, and you can see like this is sort of again,
everything's fake.
It's also just a surprisingly bold commentary on like imperialism. I mean, if you go to England, like, oh, you've got the Queen sitting there, and everything's very ornate and proper. But, like, where did that wealth come from?
Yeah, the crown jewels. Where did all the jewels on the crown jewels come from?
So it's a very pointed social commentary just in the middle of a million other things in this film where everything just has its place.
Yeah. I also like how they used it to kind of, like, smooth over some of the cracks in the plot in the greater universe.
Yeah.
Like with the Infinity Gauntlet, she just like pushes it off as fake.
Again,
that's the thing where people have always been like, "What? There was one in Thor. Now we're seeing one that Thanos has put his hand into. Which one's the real one?" Well, now we know.
Yeah, she just walks in and she goes, "Oh, like all this fake, smaller than I expected."
And then again, walks past the Infinity Cube or Tesseract. And it's like, that could have some use.
Yeah, she's like, that's pretty good. Yeah. And if you just see Loki giving it that look at the end.
Oh, yeah, right at the end when he's going to...
Loki!
And Loki's got it.
Yeah. You absolutely know he's got
it. And like Jarryd pointed out, that's probably why Thanos found their ship.
Yeah. That's the only reason. Like, he's drawn to it.
And that's just... I love that they've just established... Because that's one of the uneasy tensions always has been, like, Loki's the sort of really lovable character, and he shows these moments of humanity. Why doesn't he change? And the movie addresses it, like, he's the god of mischief.
Yeah.
Like, and that's another thing the other films have forgotten about a lot, is that Thor is the god of thunder. And
so
they always gloss over that. I think that was probably the first bullet point on the first page of developing the script. It's like, hey guys, he's the god of thunder. Why have we not done anything with this yet?
I think Taika Waititi's notes were just God of Thunder, immigrant song.
Yeah, that's it.
That's how he got the job.
You're hired.
Just make a mood board.
So yeah, I mean, they addressed that, and he got some really badass lightning in there.
And he got some really good lightning.
I love how they address his relationship with Mjolnir, because when Mjolnir, it's gone, and you think, crap, is he going to get it back? Are they going to reform it? What is Thor without Mjolnir? And then you see those glimpses, that power, and then it's all put into reference when Anthony Hopkins tells him, like, Mjolnir was just there to help you.
Yeah.
It wasn't your power.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Is like, Mjolnir didn't give you your power. Mjolnir helped you focus your... It's like Cyclops' visor.
Yeah.
Like, it helped you sort of focus your power. Like that's been keeping you in check.
Oh, God.
What does he let loose?
That's great. And then Taika Waititi's character, Korg, when he just kind of like flippantly and really insensitively kind of describes how Thor must be feeling. He's like, oh, you really seem to like this hammer.
Yeah.
I guess it was more like losing a loved one than an object. Oh, Korg had some
from
of
an unlikely source.
Korg had some of the best lines in that movie.
That accent works so well because it's such a distinct thing, that New Zealand accent. It's so out of place. Because everyone else, they've got British accents or American accents,
Well,
and that's
the right hand, the Grandmaster's right hand also had a pretty apparent New Zealand accent.
I mean, this is like cutting.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
You can see, like, he was almost accentuating it as well.
It's full on. It's like Charlton.
Oh, Sholto Copley.
Yeah, who in District 9?
Yeah.
You know where that sort of that Afrikaans
That
accent is. Yeah, the Afrikaans accent is sort of pushed to the breaking point.
Yeah.
Where even Afrikaans people are sitting here going like,
It feels like this was like that.
whoa,
Yeah.
that's real Afrikaans. So they did the same thing with the New Zealand accent there, and it just works so. And just how he just underplays it the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just so like, chaos on the bridge. You know, he's just arrived in Asgard. Everything like, oh, I'm cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
Isn't me?
Isn't he?
We
We're going on that ship. You want to join us?
You want to join us?
But I
Go away, Space Ghost.
piss off, Space Ghost.
Yeah, piss off, Space Ghost.
Oh, he's gone.
And he's so delayed running it.
And then afterwards, he's like, oh, he's gone. Ah.
And when he runs up to say that, Meek also comes around
Yeah,
the corner
with his knives.
with his little knife hand.
Oh, I love me. I'm so happy Meek was in the film.
I know.
I'm so glad they put him in there.
Yeah, and that he didn't actually die.
I stepped on him when we were on the bridge and I felt bad.
No! And then, oh, he's still alive, everyone. He's still alive.
But like, I really love that because Marvel's also got this great thing that they've been doing in their cinematic universe, where they take established or known characters from the comic
previously
properties,
established characters.
and like from the source material, the comic book universe, and they completely change the character for the better.
Yeah.
Like you look at Drax, he's completely different in the comics. He's super serious, doesn't take things literally. He even jokes a lot.
Yeah, and the creator will probably not like me for saying this, but Mantis as well.
Yes.
Rather than
He
being like
would-
destined to give birth to Space Jesus, the character that she was, I think, meant a lot more to the story.
And Korg as well in like the Planet Hulk stuff. He's super serious and he's a warrior at best. And Meek is like this, like
Meek.
not knife hands Meek,
Yeah.
which to his detriment. And also it's just like this annoying little guy who's constantly complaining about things.
Quite liked. Meek was one of my favorite characters, but I agree that for the film he just works so much better
Perfectly.
because he's the you know, he's Teller for this Penn and Teller. You know, he's just sort of silently standing there, like ready to fight at any moment. He's just quiet. He just lets Korg do all the talking.
And the fact that Marvel likes to bring back old established characters from earlier in the MCU really gives me hope that these characters will just pop up again randomly in future installments.
Yep. I mean, because they're now working on a galactic scale.
Yeah.
You know, they've introduced. Stephen Strange was in this movie, I just remembered.
Yeah.
He was there for a little bit in the beginning.
He was there for a little bit, and it was great. It was just like this fun little...
Yeah, little thread getting woven into the bigger narrative.
Yeah.
And then when Thor's busy getting his hammer while they're waiting there to leave.
His umbrella.
His umbrella.
Yeah,
And he shakes the glass off and goes, I'm sorry.
He's just hearing all this destruction in the distance while he's got his hand out, busy calling it towards him.
Amazing.
Oh, so many
It was so cool
moments,
seeing, and Doctor Strange got a super cool introduction against that sort of that window.
He looked so imposing and really.
And I was actually wondering what had happened. Like, I thought that Loki had been like sucked into hell because hell.
I saw the spin.
Oh,
I was like, oh, where's it
recognized
going? I was
that.
like, oh wait, that's the Doctor Strange design.
I didn't.
And then the
even
little bit of the
register.
Doctor Strange theme when you see the little card on the ground.
Yeah.
It plays the music from it just to help your brain, like, that's where that circle's from.
Yeah. It's like, I was just so hyped.
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
And
And you can also what I liked as well. Sorry to interrupt. Is that it also showed Doctor Strange's progression with his power level. Like, how
Son of a
much he's
bitch, you
grown.
interrupted me saying exactly that. So that they don't have to address it in Infinity War.
Yes.
It's one
Yes.
less thing they have to address. You see how he's developed, you see how he's progressed, you see what his agenda is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with it in Infinity War.
And you also see the scope of his knowledge. The fact that he knows Loki is from Asgard and is a threat. Like, over and above what the Avengers know about him.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
he's probably going to have some kind of advance warning about Thanos.
Yeah, and I love how Loki just they just completely underestimates him.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
entirely.
Because Loki just assumes that he's like an
He's the
Asgardian sorcerer,
he's
so
the
he must
best
be the best
sorcerer.
sorcerer.
yeah, like, oh, you have wizards here.
Yeah, you second rate, and then okay, I'm not done.
Yeah, I'm done with you.
Yeah, poof, off you go.
They probably should have tried to use the "I need some help" technique for that one.
This is like a Marvel film, but with Anchorman level quotability.
Yeah.
I could just see the next year.
Like, the last thing I expected when they were doing "I need that help" thing was for Thor to just throw Loki at the...
Here's what- I knew what was gonna happen
Yeah.
when he said like like the get help or need help.
Yeah, need
And
help.
they like, oh, okay, cool. I know what this ruse is gonna be. They just
What?
He just spins and just flings Loki into these people.
And then he goes, that works every time. It's like, I hate need help.
So it's like, I mean, that's just great comedy. It's like comedy is all about surprise, and you think like, okay, cool, here I finally got the jump on one of your jokes.
Yeah.
Like, aha, I know what I know
what you're doing with
and
this
then it
get
just
help.
it just pulls something extra out.
But they did that throughout the movie. Like,
Yeah.
again, I said it before, how when Mark Ruffalo jumps down and he's making that big dramatic entrance to come save the day, and you're sitting here and you're thinking, he's either going to land there and look all awesome, which is totally stereotypical and what you'd expect, or he's going to bail and hit that bridge so hard. And then even the way he hits the bridge, you don't expect it.
It's just so, like...
Yeah, like he
like
bounces.
a ragdoll.
Yeah, like
Pathetic and painful,
like one
he
way
just
to the
looks
side.
dead.
He doesn't even just fall straight down. He literally falls from the side, hits the bridge, bounces and rolls over and looks dead.
Yeah, and it's perfect comedic timing because they hold on it just long enough.
Now the close up where you think like, okay, here he's gonna transform,
Yeah.
and like, nope.
No.
And the way
And then
that
everyone just-
Federer just kind of sniffs him a little bit
And
and then
wiggles
walks
around.
over him.
And then everyone just carries on going, and then he grabs him.
Without a transformation sequence. Like, they
Yeah.
did not waste any time.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even squeeze
We've
in.
seen Hulk transform enough.
Yeah.
The transformation from Hulk to
Back to
Banner
Banner.
was super impressive.
That was
Yeah,
great.
that was
That
good.
looked amazing.
Like, you couldn't actually tell, was he going to succeed? Was it actually
Yeah,
going to happen?
and the pain on his face when he was like
Yeah.
slamming into the side, like that
Oh,
level of
the
emotion.
pain in his eyes.
Yeah,
Like,
that-
after seeing
that's where
Natasha's face.
that's where the face is where the eyes are.
Yeah, I know, but the eyes are more specific than the face, Dion.
Pacific.
Sorry, the
Pacific
eyes are more
Pacific.
Pacific Rim than the face.
Yeah, just that, and like in the mouth as well. You know, like that. So, as he's shouting, there's that real tension and pain.
Yeah, like you said earlier, the motion capture
Yeah,
was
and,
just...
and,
performance
hats,
capture.
and hats off to
Performance
Mark
capture.
Ruffalo, because he did everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he did absolutely amazing.
This guy who was known for, like, romantic comedies.
That's the thing is, it's so weird for me to think that, because a lot of these actors I didn't really know ahead of time, and to go back and see what they were before,
All right.
super surprising.
Yeah.
I can see why. I remember when Edward Norton was getting replaced, and they said there's this Mark Ruffalo guy that's replacing him.
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was, so I was like, that kind of sucks. Like, I like continuity, but let's see what this new guy can do. Because I mean, the Hulk
And
wasn't-
now I kind of wish
Hulk
he
was-
was the Hulk in that.
Yeah.
Incredible
yeah,
Hulk movie.
exactly, because that alone would elevate it so much. But to go back and see what he did before, like, what?
No, it's crazy. I mean, like, for me, like, Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite Marvel movie, and, like, I did not know who Chris Pratt was.
Oh, wow.
I'd never seen Chris Pratt before, and, like, for me, every little step of the casting, I was like, okay, maybe they might pull this off, maybe not.
I can't wait for this new funny Thor to interact with Chris Pratt's character.
Oh, my...
Oh.
Holy...
Like-
That's the thing I cannot fathom, is that all these characters are so well developed now. Like, we've
Right.
got depth. Guardians of the Galaxy on the Galactic thing, you know, all
Yeah.
those characters have got depth now. You know, especially someone like Rocket Raccoon and so on, you know, you've got so much empathy for, despite him being crazy and over the top.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that character interacting with this Thor or with Tony Stark the way he is, or Captain America.
Yeah.
You're like, what? It's so exciting.
It's just like so much to think about.
Yeah, and just to get incredibly overhyped for.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's in the hands of the Russo brothers, it just it just gives me the free. It's the difference between the Marvel universe and the DC universe. Like, I don't want to sort of.
Are you gonna make Rotten Tomatoes angry, deal?
Oh no, I don't want to bag on DC, but where something like the Justice League, if I look at the trailer I saw in the cinema today, if I hadn't been sort of so let down in the past, that's a trailer that should have got me incredibly hyped.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said to Jarryd. I turned to him, I was like, by all rights, this should have me hyped.
This should have me like, I should have left after that trailer. I should have been so hyped. But I wasn't, because I've been hurt before.
Yeah.
You're just sort of waiting to see, like, how's this one going to let me down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is it's just such a pity. And with Infinity War, you're justified in just feeling excited.
What I like about the Russo brothers having Infinity War is because of that way they write movies, where they write it from every character's perspective. I mean, it's a lot of work for them going into Infinity War.
It's an incredible amount of work, but it also means that the films, I mean, no film is free of plot holes. Yeah. But their films are free of overly vague motivation. They're free of, like, feeling like, wait, like, this character's not acting right, or why is he acting... Like, they understand their characters, they understand each character's perspective, and the whole thing works as a coherent whole. And, I mean, to have that many characters to play with...
You need people who have worked in sitcoms and comedies with ensemble casts to be able to do this. And who have
that kind of work ethic. And it feels like a lot of...
you could see in Civil War when they just had, like, half the players. That they managed to move the pieces around.
And it all just felt so good and organic. And this as well, I mean, I think it's just the thing over there where it's all about the writing. It's all about the script. You can throw as much money as you want at special effects. Yeah. It's not going to make your movie good. You might make a ton of money, but you're burning goodwill every time you do that.
And then because you clearly want to keep going with this and you want to expand this universe, so you can be like, oh, well, nobody really liked this movie, but we made a killing off of it. We'll do better next one. Next one comes around and everybody's burnt from the first one. Yeah. And then you've spent the same amount of money, if not more.
Look, Valerian is the best example of this, because it was drop dead gorgeous. The world that they created was just incredible. I want to see more of that world. But if it has anything to do with the first one and the writing and the actors of the first one, I'm not going to bother. Yeah. I think that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that ties it up for me. There's more to say, and it's going to occur to us as soon as we stop recording. But
yeah, but that's life.
Yeah, it's just such a well-structured, funny movie. But also, I'm just thinking back, last point. Is that as we were driving, I was thinking back to other MCU films and how audacious something like The Avengers felt, and how audacious something like Civil War felt, the airport scene. And those feel almost, maybe it's just the freshness of it, but they feel almost tame compared to just how bold this film was.
Well, I think the airport scene was really good, but the fighters were all almost like human in their powers.
Yeah.
Right.
Like their powers were more tangible. Yeah. Whereas with this one here, with Thor, with his massive lightning power and stuff like that, almost gives it more of a supernatural kind of feel to it.
Those are all on Earth. But I mean, even if you look at something like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which had like super epic space battles, there was a lot of great stuff. None of it feels as just heavy. Like, this was a heavy metal album, or several heavy metal album covers come to life.
And that's just the Valkyrie sequence.
Yeah, and it just felt so bold, because I mean there are epic fights in the arena, there's epic fights on Asgard. You've got these very different backdrops, very different casts of fighters, and each one just feels electric. Sorry for the pun.
Well, that prologue just sets it up perfectly.
In hell, basically.
In hell,
the epic fight in hell.
You're gonna get hilarious comedy, And you're going to get awesome fight scenes. And it gives that to you right in the beginning and tells you, okay, here you go. This is what the movie's about. Sit back and get ready for more because it's going to come at you fast.
Yeah, and it keeps doing that, but it never loses sight of characters and their motivations. You never get a sense like, oh, this is just a cardboard cutout character.
Yeah.
What I also like, good thing we kept going and I remembered this. They do address Thor like kind of preferring Earth to Asgard.
Yeah.
Like when he gets back and Loki's like, you're going to go back to Asgard. Well, Loki as Odin. He's like, you're going to go back to Midgard.
Yeah.
And in this, Thor sacrifices everything to save Asgard. So
I like that I do like a lot. That he... Yeah, the one thing that bugged me about the other Thor films was his almost irrational, immediate love for Earth and its people and Jane, and it never felt motivated or real, and it felt like it was selling the Asgard side of things short. And I think this film fixes a lot of that.
It fixes. Like I said, it smooths over a lot of the cracks.
Yeah.
Like really
although it would make rewatching Thor 1 basically impossible.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine. I was planning now before Infinity War to go back and rewatch
the entire
everything,
MCU.
and I actually
we're definitely going to do that.
I don't feel like I can bring myself to rewatch Thor. Like seeing what it could have been all along. I mean, obviously there's groundwork that's been done, etc., etc. But just the heights that it eventually rises to, it's just.
But like at the same time, that's what's so also great about the MCU. Like after watching Guardians and like completely blowing my expectations what a comic book or even a superhero movie could be, never would I, if you had told me that Thor 3 was going to be a better Guardians movie than Guardians, I would have said, you are crazy, stop smoking the crack and get the hell away from me, you strange homeless person.
And now you've discovered that Thor 3 is the crack.
And I am the homeless person.
Alright, I think that's a good thing to end on.
Yeah.
I think crack's a great thing to end on, but not as good as Krabby's.
Not as good as Krabby's.
Good
Alright, thanks for listening. We're off.
Go watch Thor.
Definitely.